I just love this next guest. Her name is Brooke. She is the co founder of Mone Wellness. And this is a wellness app specifically designed for postpartum. And I just am like, I just love creative, beautiful, amazing people making beautiful, creative things, and specifically in this moment of time in our lives, it's so valuable. So I love this conversation. Brooke is a co founder of the app. The app is live. Go check it out. I have all of the links linked below. It's Mone Wellness app, and she's on all the socials and all the things. So find them, love them, recommend them to our postpartum friends. But this is such a beautiful conversation, and I literally cannot wait to get into it. Step right up, folks. You are now entering It's a Circus, where motherhood, womanhood, and self care aren't always a show stopping act, but they're certainly entertaining. I'm your host, Elsa, here to prove that no one really knows what they're doing, and that's perfectly fine. Let's have some real conversations, peel back the layers, and remind you that you're never alone in this season of becoming. Let's get the show rolling. Hi, Brooke. Welcome to It's a Circus podcast.
Hello. So happy to be here.
So happy to have you here and to get into like all the fun stuff. But I have a question for you, and I ask everybody at the start of the podcast, and that is, how long have you been a mama for? Who are you a mom of? And have you always wanted to be a mother?
Yes. Okay, so I had my first, her name is Ember, and she is
Cute.
5. She'll be 6 in October. And then I had my second, my son Tide, and he's currently 3. He'll be 4 in October, which is coming quickly. And then I had my third, her name is Iris, and she is just about 9 months old. Yeah.
I love
Full
it.
house. But to answer the last question, yes, I always wanted to be a mom. I was always in childcare, doing babysitting and nannying and so on since high school. So kids have always been a really big part of my life.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, random question, but because your love of kiddos and always been in your life, did that make motherhood or transition into being a parent easier, harder, or the verdict's still
Right.
out?
I think in some ways it probably made it easier because, I had changed many diapers. I had dealt with
Right.
tantrums. I had kind of been exposed to developmental milestones and how other parents handled them and kind of what to expect. But I still think that nothing quite prepares you for being a parent yourself. You just
It's like a very good answer. And yeah, I came from kind of the opposite. I like had some exposure to kiddos, but like that was not like a big part of my life. And so whenever I meet someone who's like been a nanny before or something, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, you must bring like so much to parenting and like love it." And I think it's so real. I think that's like such a good answer for even what I've heard from people who have like been in the industry and then become a parent themselves. It's like, "Oh my goodness sakes."
right, you can't give them back. Very
Exactly.
and the lack of sleep, is
Oh,
exhausting. So there's
yeah. It's like a whole nother level. But, okay, so take us back to your okay, first off, congratulations on your big family, especially with the new one, 9 months. I mean, you are fresh, like, recovery, all that kinda stuff.
yes. Yes.
So take us back to your first, which I know can be hard, but I'm curious as to, and you can share all of them, but like I'm curious how pregnancy has been, and then what that postpartum
Mhm.
life was after, especially with the first one as you kind of get initiated into motherhood.
Right. Yes. So I actually found out that I was pregnant with my first the week of COVID lockdown. So
So
I think I found out maybe
Oh,
Days
man.
before, it was full on government shutdown. So that was a really intense time for everyone for many reasons. But in this context, I was so excited to be pregnant, of course. And at the same time, I had no idea what to expect personally on that journey and globally. So it was like
Yeah.
my whole world, internal and outside, was totally shifting. Was so much unknown in the bigger picture too. So that was a pretty intense
My
integration.
God, seriously.
Yes. Um, and a lot of fear collectively at that time too, which I think I had to do a lot of work in just really trusting the path and trusting my body and this baby to, be prepared to deal with whatever was to come. Especially, as everyone was wearing masks and there was so much unknown and hospital admissions. And, with that, people delivering in the hospital during COVID, that was like a totally new experience for everyone, right? And so I always knew that I wanted to have an alternative birth, if you will. I met a midwife at one of my herbal studies, and I knew instantly that I wanted her to be my midwife someday. So flash forward a few years, I'm pregnant and I contact her and, we decide that we're gonna go for the home birth. So, I had my first baby at home and
Can you walk us through that? Because that is, I think, so yeah, I would say there's people in the camp that are like, oh my gosh, I aspire to be that. And then other people in the camp that's like, never, ever going to do that. Can you tell us just like how that home birth was and why you decided that was the path best for you?
yes. So, I had trained as a doula and I had been present at a birth before my own. And so I was already really interested in birth work, t tapping into the, innate physiological power of the woman's body and the ability to birth our babies, so long as everything is uncomplicated, of course, and it's a whole other topic. But I was really committed to making that happen for myself. So, yeah, we just prepared with our midwife. She's a licensed midwife. She has a team with her. I I actually had a unique experience to the start, which was my water started leaking before labor started. So that always puts you on the hook, right? Because they're worried about infection and so on. So, all day I'm walking and trying to get things going, did acupuncture, and nothing's happening. And so finally, later that night, I drank the castor oil solution,
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
right? And there's a time and a place for it. Just because you drink it, it doesn't mean labor is going to start, which my second birth can speak to that. But here I am at 38 weeks, actually, and I drank it and it worked. So
Oh my gosh.
it got things moving and I labored through the evening with my husband, mom, his mom, my sister-in-law, and a whole team of midwives in our, little room in the back of the house that we were sharing with roommates. And,
My gosh.
yeah, and I ended up delivering her actually standing up in the bathroom around, like, 6 a.m., I think it was, and that was it.
That is incredible. Okay, thank you so much for walking us through and, like, sharing that. Okay, so as a doula, now had you been to multiple births or were you just, like, in the midst of training?
I just finished my training actually, and I attended a birth, and then I got pregnant, and it was COVID. So I kind of stepped into
Okay.
different, learning experience person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Totally. You're like, "Okay, I'll take all these learnings and apply it to me
Yes.
and go from there." Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's so amazing. Okay, and then how was, like, healing and postpartum for you?
Right. So, it was a pretty straightforward birth. I labored for, maybe 10 hours, so, like, pretty quick. Um,
Totally.
and, my recovery was good. It was uncomplicated. Again, nothing prepares you for childbirth. You can take all the classes, but it's the experience that you really learn from. And same with the postpartum. You can read about it and learn about it from the outside, but nothing really prepares you for the massive hormonal shifts and the sleep deprivation. So,
Gosh, seriously.
yeah, I mean, I am very blessed to have a partner who was present and would wake up and change the diapers and, try to get the baby back down. And my mom and my mother-in-law were both present through that time, and they would come and help some nights. So, again, I'm really grateful for the community that I had during my postpartum periods.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I mean, it's so true. I feel like everybody says, like, different like, every pregnancy is different. Would you subscribe to the every postpartum is different too?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I think
Okay.
our birth experience, it really does impact and set us up for our postpartum season as well.
Right. Right. Um, okay. Well, tell us about like your next two pregnancies and that last one being so fresh.
Mhm.
And did you choose to do something different the next couple times?
No, I chose to do home births for both of them. And every time, it's funny, it's something that I knew I really wanted to do, and I knew I could do it because I had done it before, and I really trusted my midwife and the team, and, even still, immediately after, first thing that comes in my head is, "I'm never doing that again." And then, like, the next day or so, I'm like, "Oh, I could totally do it again because the hormones, right? You're looking at your baby, you
Exactly.
forget how intense it really is, at least for me.
I know.
So, anyways, going back a little bit, so my second, um, I had a very straightforward, uncomplicated pregnancy. My first came at 38 weeks, and everyone always says, "Oh, your second will come sooner, and it'll be even faster." So I had that in my head, and that is not what happened at all. So my second, similar thing happened. I felt like I had some leakage around 38 weeks. I used a little test strip, and it looked like it was positive for amniotic fluid, so, like, the clock is on. It's like, "Okay, this is how I birth apparently." And I did the castor oil, and it did not start labor. So, clearly, it was a little different this time. I ended up going in and getting checked at the hospital, and they confirmed I was no longer leaking, so it must have just been, like, a little pop in the bubble, but it sealed itself again or, was against the wall, and so I wasn't leaking anymore. So I was no longer on the clock. Uh, so with that, the days continue to go on, and the end of pregnancy, I feel like, is so hard for so many reasons.
So
You're
hard.
so big, you're so tired,
They're so big.
you're so just ready to not be pregnant and meet your baby. The anticipation of labor and delivery is just so present, so I feel like those last days or weeks can be really challenging, especially as your due date comes and goes. So here I am at 40 and still no baby, and then I continue until we're about, like, 2 days shy of 42 weeks, and at that point, my
Totally.
midwife was, talking about going into
Right.
the hospital and out of
Yes.
her care. And so
Oh,
preparing myself for hospital birth at this point, And then the day before I'm 42 weeks, I go into labor naturally, around 10 p.m. at night. So it's on, and, I labored through the night, but this one was a little different, and I'm not sure if that was because energetically, maybe I had expectations, and I had prodromal labor for weeks. So I was just so exhausted at that point and already defeated before it had started.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so, energetically, I don't think I was really prepared and on my game,
Mm.
and, I had plateaued, so there was talk about going to the hospital, and then they come back in and check me, and I'm 10 and fully effaced, and baby is coming.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it just goes to show, like, you never know these plateaux and,
No.
how you stall, but then you can jump within minutes. So,
Yes.
baby came at home, and he was quite big. I actually experienced some postpartum hemorrhaging with that one.
Gosh.
So, my midwife, gave me the Pitocin to help stop the bleeding, and
Yes.
I just remember coming to saying, "Give her another Pitocin," and saying, "Brooke, you need to come back into your body now, like, come back into your body, look at me." Yeah. So he was okay and screaming and didn't stop for months. But that postpartum, I feel like, was really tough because of the birth experience and because of his temperament upon arrival. He was super colicky and just screamed and screamed, and I just didn't know what
Wow.
to do.
I mean, and you don't know what to do. I mean, it's impossible, right? Like, you just okay, thank you for bringing this up, and, I love that you're talking about it, so thank you for sharing. I think this, idea of temperament, which I was unaware of as well until I had my second because I was like, "Oh, all babies are the
Right.
same." Not true. Babies are not the same, pregnancies are not the same, people, and neither is postpartum, okay? It's all very different. And I think this idea of temperament is so interesting. Uh, do you think the temperament and the colic were like one and the same? Or do you feel like they are like separated? And can you talk about colicky babies? Because that is super common and we don't quite talk about them all the time.
Right. Yeah, so a colicky baby typically cries for more than, 3 hours a day straight, 3 days a week for, like, weeks on end. Like, there's certain timelines that put them into the colic box, if you rather than just a fussy baby that's having a hard time, for X, Y, and Z. Colic is very real. Um but I think a lot of people misunderstand what colic is versus, just fussy or, having a challenging time because of, all the reasons. So I also believe that our birth experience as the baby coming through, I think that can also, really have an impact on our own nervous system. And so I think that part of his cry and discomfort or, his struggle when he got here was maybe how he even came through, which it was really intense. And there was a lot of energy in this space. I think a lot of fear and unknown and anxiety, in the room too, just from, you know, other people being there. Um, and seeing this all go down. So I think he came through with a strong personality. I think he came through with a lot of big feelings. I think there was some nervous system dysregulation from his arrival that all kind of created this, season of colic for him.
Yeah.
So nothing again prepares you for it. And we don't know until we know. And that's
Right.
from experience of going through it, and I think really connecting with other people who have been through it and can try to offer some guidance through that time, whether that's other moms or professionals.
How long was he, like, colicky for?
Oh my gosh, and it's crazy, I feel like that time is also such a blur. It's like to protect myself,
Right,
I feel like, almost
right.
kind of, like, compartmentalized or, like, even dissociating
I
and
know.
from that time period.
Yep.
Um, but I believe, he was probably like that for at least 2 months, 3 months maybe.
Oh, man. Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, it wasn't until I actually took him to she's a bit of a alternative doctor that she started as chiropractic, and then she's kind of progressed into her own field of, a lot of tapping and nervous system movement, and so I took her or him to her, and whatever she did, I feel like worked, and he was able to really settle down, and his little system was able to regulate a bit more, and I think mine was too, right? Because we co-regulate, and so with the
Yes.
constant screaming and nothing working, my whole system was absolutely out of whack, and so with that period of reset, I think I was able to reset, and we were able to kind of come together there at that time.
Okay. That is wild. And, oh, so hard. When okay, so with your 3rd one, which is so recent, um, how did you make different choices again, or did you stick with the same kind of formula? And what was, like, your learning from him versus this kiddo?
Right, so I had a home birth with her, same midwife and team, so grateful
Love it.
for them, and birth
Seriously.
workers, and so with my 3rd, actually, it was funny, so after I had my son, the 2nd, I had a dream that I gave birth in a bathtub, and I pulled the baby up, and I said, "Oh, I knew my 3rd would be a girl," in the dream. And, immediately postpartum with the 2nd, I was like, "There's no way I am entering that again, at least for a very long time." And some time goes on, a little bit, bigger of a gap than the first 2, and we decide to go for the 3rd, and with that dream, I felt like this birth was meant to bring healing from my 2nd. Water is, symbolic of healing, and it's gentle, and the way it unfolded, I was trusting once again that this would be okay. So, we welcomed our 3rd in June, and I was in labor for maybe 3 hours, and she was out.
No
So,
way.
really quick, very smooth. I feel like I finally understood my body in labor and how to really go with it and where to lean into it and how to really birth this baby. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing. That is, like, so incredible, and I love I mean, thank you for sharing all of them, and then I think too what is so fascinating and just, like, something, like, as a listener, it's just like, I think when we are gifted the opportunity to do it again, it's kind of like you can take those learnings, and that in and of itself can feel so healing to yourself. And then be able to see it actually, like, resonate and make a difference in how that experience was is huge. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Yes, it's a gift every time. Yeah.
Every time. Um, okay, and you are a lactation consultant, right?
Lactation counselor, yes. So our
Okay.
role is more from the education space rather than the hands-on individualized plans. We refer to lactation consultants typically to get into more of the details and the care.
So how was your feeding journey with the kiddos?
Yes, so we actually have a family friend who's a IBCLC. She's a lactation consultant. She helped my husband's mom when she was pregnant back in the day. He was a med
Gosh, how
and
cool.
then a lactation consultant now. So again, I feel really blessed to have that support system to know where to go. So she came over and she helped me troubleshoot with the first. My parts were already so torn up. Yeah, it was hard. But we were able to come around and stick with it. So that was again a gift. And then my second, again, um, I think she came over sooner this time and kinda jumped on the latch thing early on to prevent some of the nipple damage, which made a big difference. He was really fussy, though, on the breast, so I believe we introduced a bottle, around the same time just to feed him, right? It's like at that like, anything to get the baby fed. A fed baby is the best. They used to say, like, breast milk is best or breast is best and then breast milk is best, but sometimes you just have to make sure your baby is fed one way or another, and that's okay, right? So for me, I think that was something I had to go through too, was accepting that I needed to use some tools outside of my own, and provide some formula at a time, and it filled the gap. It helped me mentally because that was really hard. So it was helpful to know that he was
Wow.
cared for and okay, and it wasn't all on me because that stress can be so unhelpful as well, and you can just spiral
God,
mentally.
100%.
Yeah, so with the 3rd, again, she's been a really solid eater. I actually crazy though, it's like you can study and all these things and do all these things and have experience in them, but things just happen sometimes and you just don't know. So I ended up getting mastitis with my 3rd, and it was like sudden onset. I was going to bed and all of a sudden the blanket on my breast really hurt. And I was like, "This isn't right." But I was, "Okay, I'm gonna try to go to sleep," and then 2 hours later, I woke up with fever, chills, and I was like, "Okay, this just is not right." And so we ended up going into the ER, and they did all of these
God.
scans and tests and so on, sent me home with antibiotics, and the next morning, the red streak came, which is always the sign of, mastitis or infection. And I was like, "Oh, there it is." So it came, and again, you just have to keep nursing on that side or pumping if you can to keep expressing the milk so you don't get, clogged up any further. So that was a learning experience. And again, I take it as some kind of blessing because I've been through it and now I can speak to it personally and hopefully help guide people through it now as well.
Yeah, that hurts so bad, and then you're supposed to, like, continue pumping.
Oh my god.
Why are we doing this to ourselves? It's so
Oh my
painful.
gosh. Terrible.
It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's so crazy. Oh my gosh. Were you still able to continue breastfeeding though for her?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, that's good.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, because I know that can, like, shut some people down, so that's great.
for good reason. I mean, it is brutal,
Yeah,
There's a lot that goes into it, breastfeeding, and I think sometimes we have the misconception that because it's natural and normal, it should just come naturally, but it really
yeah.
doesn't. It's a learned experience for mom and for baby, and it takes patience and practice and commitment, really.
Oh my gosh.
So, I think if I could just give, like, one statement, it's birth
Please.
is so unpredictable, right? And we can have our plan and our vision, but sometimes it doesn't unfold that way, and that is absolutely okay. And I think what's most important is that baby and mom are safe and trusting it's going to unfold in the way that it needs to. So whether you plan for a home birth and it doesn't go that way, or you have, an emergency C-section, like we can heal from all of our birth experiences with awareness and with time. And, at the end of the day, it's just part of our story, and that's okay.
Love it. Well said. I mean, I think you're so right. And we all come into our birthing moment with like hopes and dreams and like, expectations of how it's going to be, how we're going to feel, how the process will go. And I mean, you are a perfect example, but for us that have been through it, especially a couple of times, is you can't plan birth. It's not gonna you can have a blueprint, you can have, what you hope to have happen, but
Yes.
that birth experience is completely wild.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong way, it's just how we arrive safely on the other side.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, so good. Okay, so okay, as you are just like creating life, like no big deal. Is there what has your career trajectory been like? And how has your career kind of like woven through motherhood? And then essentially what's brought you to this moment today? Because I love to talk about that as well.
Okay, so, let's see. Again,
I know.
said I always was, interested in birth work, It started with being around babies and mamas and children, and then, you know, everything I did just kind of led me into this moment here. So, when I had my babies and was postpartum myself, I it was actually when I was pregnant, I think, with my 3rd, and I had actually stepped out of a different career experience, which I learned a lot on, but after stepping out of that, which I think was it spoke to a different time of my life before motherhood. It was a lot of festivities and parties. Mm.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this?
So I was involved in a wellness space, and we had a
Okay, yeah.
a lot of parties.
Mhm.
I actually fire
Yeah.
dancer and
Oh my gosh, I love
it
it.
was a different life. And my role was a lot of, partying, it was being there at the parties,
Yeah.
it was networking, it was being present for that. And so I think, even through my first 2 babies, there was still a part of me that was wanting to hold on to that identity of, like, my pre-baby self, and, you know, there came a time where it just wasn't aligning anymore, and so I shifted out of that, and immediately after I shifted out of that space, I had this idea when I was driving in the car, that I wanted to create a platform for postpartum women and their families. So it was just one of those things that came through, and I can thank my journey, to guiding me there. And so here I am pregnant, and I say, "This is what I wanna do." And I'd actually been talking with my friend, she's a integrative OBGYN, and she's one of the co-founders of this app. I'll drop it now. It's called Mone Wellness,
Yes.
and
But wellness.
we were always talking about creating a space for women as, like, a women's wellness center, a brick and mortar where women could come and have all kinds of modalities and access to all kinds of resources. And then it occurred to me, I was like, "Well, we could reach a lot of people with this platform of an app." And it kind of fits into where we are in our lives too. I'm home with almost 3 babies. She travels a lot and is working at all kinds of different clinics and such. So I said, "Let's make an app." And so that's what we started on. And then we brought in another friend of ours. She's a dietitian and a women's health nurse and also a fitness coach. So that is our founding team of Mone Wellness.
Gosh, I love it. Okay, so talk to me about the app. Talk to me about the purpose. Who is like the perfect person to sign up for this? Like what's the whole thing?
Okay, so everyone is welcome, and I would recommend this as a resource to everyone who is childbearing, child rearing, you know? So, what the app is, it's a postpartum support app. So, we have evidence-based, science-backed education, which I think is a big part of it. And something that I'll speak to really quick is I think that there's a lot of anxiety and fear within this realm because people just aren't educated maybe in the way that we really can be. You know, it's like we fear the unknown, right? And so I think by educating ourselves on the norm, what to expect, where you can go, what to do, you know, it empowers us and instills confidence so that we can then make informed choices and feel better about our journey and especially in
Absolutely.
health.
Yes.
Right. So that's big picture, right? Is like, let's educate and empower mamas and families, you know, because that sets the groundwork for motherhood. And I think, you know, we all recognize that the postpartum period is an underserved area. It's like you are pregnant, everyone is so interested in you and your baby and how you're doing. And then you have your baby, and they're like, okay, now baby. And then that's it, you know, come check in 6 weeks, and baby's got all these checkups, of course, as they should, but what about mom? You know, it's just like there's kind of fall off at that point, and I think there's so many things that can happen that go undetected because of that gap in care. So we really want Moan to help fill that gap and bridge this time. So we also offer logging features, so for you and for baby, because I think a lot of
Oh, I love that.
right, I think a lot of our, you know, emotional, mental health is naturally connected to our baby and how our baby's doing those first times, you know, a lot of the anxiety. Are they
Yeah.
you know, are they growing? Are they, you know, passing enough stools? You know, is my milk enough? And so on. So we wanted to address both. So there's features for mama, for nourishment, and for movement, and so on. I won't share all of it. You can check out the app and explore yourself. But also features that address baby. So your baby feeding journey, whether that's breastfeeding, whether that's providing express milk through pumping or formula. Yeah. And with
Oh
them
my gosh, I love it.
so we also have that community forum aspect of it too. So you can connect with other moms in there and ask the questions or rant and just get it off your chest. It's a safe space where, you know, we can connect because we're all in the same boat, if you will.
Oh my god, I absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much for building something with that's, like, so needed and, like, with such care because as you were talking about tracking, I was like, "Oh, man, I do remember those tracking days," and, it was so much, and then to have something to track even as you yourself are going through postpartum, I mean, that alone is really helpful because I think it is such a strange especially for first-time moms, we focus on the birth, we, like, do the best we can with after support care, but unless we've had, like, I don't know, a bestie sit us down or something else to be like, "Hey, let's get real serious, like, this is how it actually is," I just don't think that's common knowledge out there for that postpartum care.
We didn't think it was either, you know, and
Yeah.
there's a space because I think, you know, on the, like, medical, physical side too, I mean, that first postpartum, you know, week or so, there can be a lot of things that can unfold, you know, infection or increased bleeding and so on. Um, so there is a component of the app where you can log your symptoms and then it'll alert you if it's seeing that some of those symptoms are needing more immediate medical attention. So I think that's helpful too. So women can, okay, this is more common, or maybe this isn't so common, and it will guide you to maybe seek the care that you're needing before something happens, hopefully.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So so critical to have something like that be in support. Um, and then so okay, so maybe like expecting mamas can or anybody, but like that would be beneficial prepping for when baby comes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then how long are we on the app for? Like is it like a while? Is it after we're done tracking? Like how do we interact and continue like the conversation
Right.
in there?
And you're welcome to stay for as long as you need. We created it to fill the gap of the postpartum period, of course, and
Yeah.
it's not just 6 weeks. I mean, they say it takes about 2 y
Oh my
our
god.
hormones to regulate entirely, because then, the breastfeeding, that's a whole other hormonal journey, right? So up to 2 years is, what they're considering to be the hormonal period of, you know, postpartum, and so I think also with our features on the app with the logging, you know, you can stay and use them for as long as you see fit. There's the movement guide, there's a really detailed nourishment log where you can
Amazing.
keep,
Mhm.
keeping track of your macros down to like the portion. There's more of an accountability one, or just
Mm.
general, self accountability. And then, with your babies, some people love tracking, they love logging, all their babies, sleep and so on. So you're welcome to stay for as long as you see fit. And I think something also that I'll speak to with the app is there's a lot of education too on family planning. So, what kinds of uh, contraceptive methods work for you and your family, whether that's hormonal or non-hormonal, spacing pregnancies, and then there's also the family relations component too. So how do you set boundaries with your family, your in-laws, your own, other people and their advice? Everyone's got opinions, right? And you have a baby and they want to share them. So there's some guides in there too for holding your space, setting boundaries, and really being intentional with what and who you let into your field, which I think is beneficial always.
My gosh, totally. And sometimes I know I'm thinking back to like my kiddos are 14 months apart. So I often feel like I just was pregnant for a long time and then now I'm like experiencing my postpartum after my second. And so it's when you're in the thick of it, I mean, oh my gosh, like you don't even realize that, or I did not. And often, sometimes people I talk to, like, don't even realize how their postpartum is impacting like their life. And being able to have a resource to, like, I don't know, remind us or, say, like, hey, it's okay to have a boundary. Yes, you've never done this before. That doesn't mean everybody else knows better than you. Like, all the
Mm,
things I think is so powerful for anybody going through that time in their life.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we hope to just be a safe place, for women, to turn to when they just need to feel seen and supported. And th
Oh my gosh, I love the idea. Yeah, and I love the idea of, like, the discussion piece
Mhm.
because, um, yes, you can go somewhere that seems like maybe a little bit more of a safe space than, like, a random, moms group or something. You can, like, come to have, um, chatter with, like, other people in that same spot.
Yes. Yes, I think that's important, a space where you can go and just express how you're feeling. Um, yeah, and connect with other people who are in it too. I think that's big because it can feel so isolating and alone postpartum. And so to have, that place I think is is really helpful, and I hope that other people find it beneficial too. And there is a little something for partners. I'll throw it out there. So there is a feature where you can send your partner, or we will send your partner, tips through their email so that they also have some guidance on maybe how they can support you without having to ask you. 'Cause that's the thing, they can ask and you're like, "I don't know," or just they should know, right? They should just know this.
Right.
And sometimes they don't, and if there's a lot that can happen there, right? And so we believe that this feature will be helpful so that you can get extra support and guidance by giving them, tips directly through us where they can help you and help themselves.
That's huge.
Yes.
Yeah, that's huge. Oh my gosh, I love it. That's amazing. Oh my God, what a feature. That is just the coolest thing. So, what are you guys doing to get people like onto the app?
Right. So right now we've just been obviously grinding. It's really just the three of us, the three of us founders. We've been doing all of the things, right? We had a development team, of course,
Yeah.
but one thing that we're also doing is we're reaching out to providers and other practitioners to come on as collaborators and show their expert insights. So we've got a group of other people who have written content and created videos and all kinds of things. So yes, we have that team and we're always reaching out and looking for other, like-minded providers to bring some content to the Moan community. And right now, we've started our social media, which is a whole other animal. Very,
It's like a whole job
very
in and of itself.
world. Yes. So we have our Instagram, Mone Wellness app, and you can find there as well as, Facebook and the other things. I'm big on Pinterest. I love
Oh my God, I love that.
Pinterest. So So we're all there, and then just having these conversations, with other like-minded
Yeah.
women and platforms and just talking about the experience of, being a mom and postpartum um, and what we've created and, hope to share with the community.
So good. So good.
I think is great, and there's so much more
Oh,
than posing.
amazing.
We have 8 pillars of wellness. So there's 8, areas that you can choose to work on or focus on and set goals for. So I think, just getting people in there and they can explore and decide what they choose to focus on. And that is always evolving. So it'll naturally evolve with you and it'll provide you personalized content as well based on those goals. So I'm just so excited. I'm so ready to, like, be there. I don't know if you've ever been skydiving or bungee jumping, but I feel like it's that moment when you're, like, on the edge of the plane or,
Right.
on the edge and you're so close to going and you're just waiting and you have all those feelings. That's where I am right now, and I'm just excited to make that leap and share what we've been working on.
Love it. Oh my gosh, that's so incredible. I mean, how amazing. Again, thank you, Brooke, for creating something that's so powerful and so needed out there in the world. I am certain you guys are just going to absolutely crush it. It's like such a need.
Thank you.
I have some other questions for you. One is if you were to give yourself advice of like how this motherhood journey would go for you pre kiddos, what would you tell yourself?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Uh, I think I would it's interesting. I feel like it's shifted from maybe my first baby versus, now having my third. And
Mhm.
so now in this place I am, I think I would really stress to myself, try not to worry so much or get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of everything going on around you. I think social media can really stir something inside of us of, comparison, because, I wanna do that or I'm not enough or how come this or that, and it can be so unhealthy. So I think I would, tell myself, don't worry or stress so much about what other people are doing. Focus on healing your wounds, loving yourself, and showing up for the people in your life that truly matter. Because we only have so much energy to give, right? And it's like they say, you can't fill from an empty cup. So I think it would be those things.
Ugh, that is so wise and so well said. Um, Thank you. That's absolutely beautiful. You know, the comparison thing and the social media thing. I mean, that's literally why this podcast exists because I was having such a hard time and I was like, where am I the only one that has ever had this hard of a time?
Right.
Because when I go on social media, it's telling me, yes, you are the only one because everybody else's life looks perfect.
Right.
And then all the doctors and experts are just like, I don't know, like, this is how you gotta do it, but, like, they weren't in
Mhm.
it, and so this idea of, like, "Hey, can we just have honest conversations with real people with, like, really how the, kind of experience has been becoming a parent?" That would be very, very liberating to hear honest stories, so, again, thank you for sharing yours. It's such a needed thing.
Well, and thank you for having this platform too and creating that safe space for, people to come and share their real stories. I mean, there's such a need for this. So thank you for holding that.
Yeah, I know. It's a wild place to be, and I'm sure you know too from even, just being in the rooms with people giving birth. It's like this thing that, 50% of the population does, like a woman gives birth, right? And then they go on to live a life.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me. Can we stop and just like look around at these like freaking goddesses that are like creating humans and like take a beat for them? Because I don't understand how pre-kiddo myself was just like, people have kids, no big deal, on to the next. And now being in it, I just like, oh my gosh, it's such a immense responsibility and so wonderful and difficult all at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. It's the full spectrum of emotion, right? All at once. And it's okay, Um,
Yeah.
part of it. And we just embrace it and we do it because, we're mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, love that. And then I have a few kind of like rapid fire questions for
Sure.
you. What is one parenting myth that you wish would go away and why?
Oh man. Um, so I think I'll bring it back to the breastfeeding thing, about
Ooh, yeah.
well, 2. Okay, 1, that because it's natural and normal, it must just come naturally. That's not true. 2, breast is best.
So good.
Also, a fed baby is best.
Right.
Yes, those are
Ugh, so good.
oh, and all
On repeat.
yeah, this now I'm gonna go. Um, this, idea that women can or should just bounce back, and that it takes
Oh,
weeks. It took 9 months to grow this baby in our body. It takes much longer, as we said as well, so that needs to be shut down.
ugh, I love it. I heard from I had interviewed somebody a while back. I asked her, I was like, because I was still telling people I was postpartum and my kid was almost 3. I was just like, okay, maybe I should stop. But like, I feel like I am still in that fog.
Mhm.
So I was telling her this, and her whole philosophy is like, you are postpartum until you feel that you are separate from your baby, that your motherhood is separate from
Mhm.
your
Mm.
baby. And I was like, oh, hit mind blown, hit with like 100 bricks. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And that, has nothing to do with the measurements of your hormones. That has nothing to do with your body looking a certain way. It's like completely just like a mindset shift. And that like just absolutely blew me away.
Yes. Yes, I love that. That's so true, the mother-baby dyad. is connected so deeply, for so long. And you're right, it goes beyond timeline. It's an energetic mindset, or it's a feeling rather. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm. Postpartum.
I know. It's so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. And that's why we have an app now, everyone. So we can help you on that journey.
Absolutely.
Brooke, where in your life are you crushing it and how can we celebrate you?
Well, I would have to say it's with the development of this app, Mone Wellness. Um, Also, like, in it while creating it, actively postpartum. I think I had our first call with the development team when I was maybe, 3 days postpartum. My midwife
My God.
shaking her head at me right now. Um, but yes, it's something that I've created while truly being in it, and that
Beautiful.
feels good. That's real.
Oh my God, that just gave me goosebumps. Yeah, that is, and that feels so as it should be. Of course, your postpartum, the most insane period of your life, also birthing an app about postpartum. So yes,
I feel very aligned, so
oh, very aligned. Totally. Totally. Makes perfect
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Brooke, that's everything.
I think we touched on a lot of really great things, and, I just wanna thank you for hosting me and for all of your amazing questions and explorations. It was a true pleasure to connect with you, and I hope everything is helpful for everyone listening too.
Oh my gosh, likewise. And likewise times 100. I'm so excited. Thank you just again so much for your work and the crew that you brought together to create such a powerful and impactful app that I know is going to make a difference for women everywhere. So, thank you.
Thank you. Go check it out, Mone Wellness.
Thanks for listening to It's a Circus podcast. If today's episode made you feel a little less alone, share it with a friend who might need it too. We are building something special at the Turner Brothers Circus, a space for women in transition to find connection, laughter, and support as they navigate motherhood, identity, and taking care of themselves along the way. I'd love for you to be a part of it. Remember, you're doing better than you think. Stay grounded, stay real, and embrace that beautiful mess. And as always, the show must go on. Until next time.